Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Chat, and it's July 24th. And I'm going to share my screen. We'll just get right into some announcements. So Deb's helped school me on some things here. So present. So you can see this, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Deb, you
Yep.
can see the gallery?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I can't see you guys when I'm in presentation mode, but we'll just carry on. So today we're gonna dive a little into just quick highlights from the compound effect, because as we're doing our one thing and we're learning these, and we've been habit stacking in the group, like checking in. Oh, there you guys are. You guys showed up. Huh.
Sheila's on. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Sheila. Good morning. So in the group, we've been habit stacking with our checking in and our water and our reading, personal development. And next week it's going to be meal planning, sticking to our meal plan. And so this is the compound effect in action, really. We've also been doing that, applying it with doing our one thing. However, and when we first start doing things, it almost is never perfect. Like it's almost never just we're steady state on it. It's something we have to kind of work into getting into a groove. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we also want to take what we're learning from the compound effect and apply it to our next book, or even if you're not reading Fiber Fueled, if you're something else that you're diving into, just applying these basic principles into whatever you're reading or whatever your goal you're working on. So I don't want it to feel like we're just go from one book to the next, because a lot of what we're learning it's like the habit stacking principle. It's like we're learning these things and we build on the things that we're learning to kind of give us a really good base of information from which to make our decisions. So we're going to dive into that today. Some announcements here. Do you guys see these okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first one, just to reiterate, 645 is out, and for everyone to buy VIP early access. And I can't give enough kudos to this program with the way it's formatted, as far as starting you out slowly. The first phase is really just about the whole program is really about progression. So getting you from that very basic starting point and really working on mobility. He talks to you about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and how to it's all about functional training. He is all about that. And so I see myself an improvement in my mobility, in my hips and my shoulders. My husband and I did the corrective shoulders this morning, just to kind of really open up the upper body. And then you're also strength training. So in that first phase, he's concentrating on movement, not the muscle. As you progress into stages 2, then you're going to get more into, the strength training. But first, it's all mobility, and there's mobility through the whole thing. But that first stage is really critical to changing how your body is moving. So it's really refreshing. So, and if you get the challenge pack or the completion pack before the end of tomorrow, you'll get an email to get into Walla's BOD group. It's a 2-week group, and he just walks you through the first couple of weeks. He's in there every day, kind of giving extra tips, things to think about, and it's pretty invaluable coaching that he provides. So the next coffee chat will be, we're going to talk about the 6 reset supplements, just to go over them, because they represent things that our body needs. And so I think it's going to be interesting to just look at them. These are supplements you can buy individually in the packets, but we'll look at kind of how they serve us, and whether you're getting it in the foods that you're eating, or if it might be a supplement that you might need, because we're listening to our body and what it needs. So the other big thing, and if this is something you want to do, I want you to jump on it today. If you're not already a Nutrition Plus member, to go in and get it. You get your first 30 days free. So you don't pay anything. You're just going to sign up for it. Then you're going to get into the August beta test of Body. Nobody knows how to say it right, but it's BOD Interactive. And so you're going to get access. And I want to, now I put a video in the newsletter, but I just want to play this. It's 1 minute and 44 seconds to show you exactly what this is. So
it's the time to put the effort in. It's time to work.
Saddle up and let's get ready for a ride. Are you ready to light it up? Say yes. We are going to lift and sweat today. Thank you for joining me live. Let's do this.
Stay connected. Come on. I'm right here with you.
I love the opportunity to be here with you in real time. Add that resistance. All out intensity. This is your workout. You versus you. You guys got this. Give me a couple more reps here. This is about being the best version of you. Let's go. Let's go.
Charge those knees. Get it up. Get it up. Get it up.
Push it. Push it. And do the 10. You're here to get stronger. Stay with it.
This is the one-stop shop for everything you could possibly want.
Are you ready for more?
Come on, podcast. I got a little shout out for y'all today. Y'all see Jess over there? It's her 50th workout. Let's give her some props at home.
Let's go, Sydney. I see you.
Yeah. I see that smile. That lets me know you work.
I promise, if you're in that cat, you are going to work even harder than you do at home on your own.
I'm excited for this one. I hope you are too. Are you ready?
So I'm going to break it down category by category for better success with your weight loss.
You guys, today we have a fixate spin on one of my favorite Greek dishes.
Let's go. Lateral raise. Fight through it. Work through it. Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. Ooh, I'm feeling the burn. Make it count. Finish it strong. You willing? Let's push yourself to the top.
I hope to see you tomorrow at our next live class. Don't miss out.
okay, now how to get back to you guys.
Yeah. Wow. Escape.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Stop. Yeah. So before I move on, just like that's what you're gonna get is access to those live classes to try them out. They're beta testing it. So yeah, there might be a glitch. They've already done some just within the corporate world with, their own staff, but you're going to test it out. So it's really a try before you buy, because what happens is if you decide you like it, your 30-day free membership will turn into your Nutrition Plus membership. And it's $19.95 a month. You have to have Beachbody On Demand, which I think we all do. So, and if you get in the podcast, you're actually, the trainer can see you working out. They're going to be able to see you. So you'll have, I don't know how that works. So we're going to learn together,
True.
But I think it's exciting. And it's not just, as you see, and it's not just the bike. If you already have a stationary bike, of course you can jump into those if they have them going already. That's going to all kind of roll out in September, along with the full-on, everybody can do the body. So I would encourage you, if that interests you, then I would go for that. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, and Sheila commented in chat that 6:30 is already out. So
right.
that's the
Right.
other one. Mhm.
Which is 30-minute workouts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
6 days a week.
Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Okay. You see that now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay. And then lastly, we're just trying to build our bod squad. So if you know of somebody, like they might want to just go out and try this 30 days free of the bod, and if you have somebody who's interested, definitely just talk with Deb or myself. All right. And so, and just quickly, our August group is all about abundance. So excited to bring that. roll that out. And then if you're doing the Ultimate Reset with us, this is the group. So go ahead and click to join there. And we will be doing Deb's getting everything prepped up for us. Thank you, Deb.
Mhm.
And next week is really getting our, selves prepped mentally, nutritionally.
Psyched.
Started. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to jump into the compound effect. Before I turn it over to Deb, because she's going to go through chapters 2 and 3, which are choices and habits. You can go to the compoundeffect.com resources and download some worksheets that are really valuable. Like you can make it part of your morning routine to just do a sheet or two. And let me see. So you'll go here, you'll say, get access, give me access. You'll get an email that you can see this email, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you'll get this email and you'll also get a login to be in the vault. So Darren Hardy Vault, which gives you these additional things. And then you'll download your resources, which are all of these sheets here. And this is what the workbook looks like. So things like this, and you can fill it in on the computer, you can print them out. But say maybe in your morning routine, you want, if you're doing your meditation and then you might do this and then do your meditation, because then it spurs up extra things in my mind. But, just to work through these, my excuses, what are small steps that I can take? What will I stop doing? Where have I been successful? And then a gratitude assessment, so there's just really great sheets in here that help you. We're going to talk about the weekly rhythm register, your core values assessment, which should be aligned with your decisions. So if you haven't gotten the free workbook, I highly recommend getting that. And then when you also get that, you'll get an email that gives you a chance to enroll in his Darren Daily if you aren't already there. And it's just you'll get an email every morning, or you can get it texted to you with just a short clip that is kind of like just a little extra boost of inspiration for your morning, keep your mindset right. So you'll get an email kind of welcoming you to that. And there's 5 like get started videos in there, short ones. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Deb, who's going to talk about those first couple of points. So you can share screen, Deb.
All right. All right. So you guys can see that, right? So chapter 2 talks about choices, and I was pretty, it's funny, you kind of go through all our other personal development books and you kind of understand who you are, what you become, and where you want to go. But your everyday choices, whether it's small or big, impacts the course of your life. And many of us tend to make unconscious decisions, whether we know it or not, like getting up and brushing your teeth. Unconsciously, that's a habit that we generally do. The habit stacking is where we had learned, I forgot which book, I've read so many, but habit stacking could have been, okay, I brushed my teeth and therefore I'm going to turn around and quickly get a glass of water for my morning. So that could have been a trigger. You brush your teeth and then get a glass of water. So we've been kind of learning stuff like this. Well, I see that in the compound effect, you really dig deeper. And this is where our choices, unconscious or conscious, is ultimately is what we do, lead our lives every day. And the thing is the unconscious type of habits or choices that we make could lead us astray rather than being constructive. And there was a great story about the guy riding a horse and somebody yelling, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I don't know, ask the horse." I mean, he's just going along for the ride. And that's where he had, Darren Hardy profoundly said, "You're sleepwalking in life." And that's where it's like, ooh, I hate that. That would be terrible, because you're just a matter of existing every day. Well, you need to have a purpose every day, and this is where the choices come into hand. Um, so this is Darren's formula: is we have a choice, a decision is a choice, and then we act on that decision, and then when you repeat it, it becomes a habit, and then it just takes time. And that's where he had used in chapter 1 the 3 guys comparatively, and how they chose, you know, one strived to be bettering himself, one stayed stagnant, and the other just made poor choices. And the one that took a little bit more extra time to better himself, um, within 18 months or the length of time, you could actually see the results. And that's where you get your goals achieved. And so the choices are imperative, whether they're good or bad, but the basis of it is, when you want to change something, and he had a good one on money, not knowing where your money goes, well, you got to track it. So tracking is the most imperative thing that you need to do in order to find out the choice or your goal you want to make. Is your choices that you do every day, does it contribute to your goal? And the tracking, shoot, we have tons of tracking. Our body app, if you want to drink more water, let's say, that's a goal. What's your choices every day to drink water? What's your action? Do you actually go and get water, or you just grab a soda? And then it's how long you repeat it. So you're tracking that every time you put water into the BOD app, or drink your Shakeology, or do your workout. I have one on meditation, Headspace. But I can go back and look at my trend and see where I'm failing. Maybe it's the weekend effort. And it's like, I do great during the week, but the weekend I'm probably cratering. So that is where you can start focusing on a habit, to create a habit that's better for you. The other thing with tracking is where he is more pencil to paper. That action was pulling that notebook out and writing out what he spent $3 for a coffee. And rather than him spending that $3, he didn't want to pull his notebook out to write it out. So he forgone that action. So it kind of helps you get rid of that bad choice, per se, because you want to save money for something, your goal. So anyways, that was where I got chapter 2 is on your choices, and you need to start tracking the choice. However, this is where chapter 3 comes into hand. It's on habit and actually goals. So chapter 3 is really your why power. Although it's about habits, but your why power is your ultimate goal. Your why is it that you want to change that bad habit, or you just want to change? And the why power, this is where, okay, you find something you want to change. And okay, so you want to change, let's say, running a half marathon, like he throws in Beverly that does it. And she was overweight or anything. But if it's that one change you want to do, you have to understand yourself even more. And this is where I see digging deeper. So what is it? What is your core values that you possess? You're born with it, you learned it, you sleepwalk with it every day, but maybe you got to stray on your core values. And this is where those worksheets that um, Louise was talking about, and actually it's taken me a while to even get through chapter 3, because you got to be really honest with yourself with these questions. And what is your core values? Because your core value could be driving your choices, and you could be making choices that really are not your core value, and you're feeling really shitty about it, because why did I even do that? And then I spend so much energy trying to correct that shitty choice, and yet you didn't feel good about it. Well, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not your core value. Just don't do it, and that's his point. And or um the other aspect is he said, oh, like the rivalry between Microsoft and Apple, you could be really angry at your competitor, but that could be your driving force. It's a bad angry or good angry, but that good angry is you're going to overcome anything to get to that goal. Well, that's part of your core value, that you're just a competitive in nature, and you just have to, that's your drive. So when you're going back to your choices, is it with alignment to your core values? And then that will lead into really defining your goal even better. And that's where there's a goal, there's a whole life assessment. It's under spiritual, business, financial, mental, lifestyle, physical, relationship. But anyways, um, once you look at that in your core values, you're defining your goals and see if your choices today on what you do every day that you're tracking is contributing to your goal. And then are your actions really contributing to the goal? Or is it just all verbal and you're just haphazardly doing it? Or are you actually striving for it? And this is where, if your actions are not, then this is where the habits, you start to work on your habits. And he had some good ones in here on eliminating bad habits, that you could use your habit stacking, because you have your cues on what to trigger that. Ooh, I'm going to reach for that diet soda, but here is a ice water with lime or lemon, and you should opt for that. As you're reaching for that swap it out, so those identifying the bad habits, the biggest thing, or the choice, but the action on it is what you deliver. And then you're installing good habits. And this is where um, our group, I think, is really what Beachbody represents, is installing good habits. And setting yourself for success is like meal planning for the week. We try to set ourselves for that for the week. Public display of your accountability was his other one. We try to do our goal setting and put it on a board and recognize it and do your affirmations every day. And he also has that addition and subtraction concept of, you add something new and you subtract the other, or um, it's like, I buy something new in my closet, I'm going to take something out and throw that out. I mean, it's just to have that organization. That's my personal thing, but it's just something that you need to compartmentalize, credit, debit. And then the most biggest thing is be patient. So like our Beachbody idea is transformation. Well, our transformation can be looked at physically easily with our pictures. We have our before and after, But our transformation on the inside is where we need to really understand to be patient about, because habits take time and practice and practice and practice. It's like I'm watching the Olympics. There's a drive behind someone who wanted to be the best in the world. Well, why is that? Well, my mom died. I want to dedicate this to my mom. That's a great goal. And everything that they do, eat and breathe is to that goal. There's that passion and the core value in that person. Um, and that's how much it means to them. And I'm digging deep to try to find my drive, and that's where it's like I want to hike Chilkoot Trail. Well, I've been saying that for years, but I haven't been doing it. So this is where it's jumbled up in there, and it's like write down your goals is the biggest part of this. But these worksheets are really valuable because you can work through it, dig deeper, and then try to understand, because I understood while I did this was being in the corporate world, I was blending blending the expectations with my core values to make it work for them, rather than having the core values so set it should be working for me. So I understand now that I had allowed that to be success in their world, but it should have been me directing that world. And I'm trying to translate that to my everyday life of why is it I'm doing what I'm doing today and why I'm not reaching to that one goal. So taking accountability is a big deal on this. Compound effect is your accountability and commitment. So I think I covered it. I'm gonna
Awesome.
turn it back to Louise.
Yeah. Thanks, Deb. You're so good at
Mhm.
presenting.
No.
And those first two chapters are the first 90 pages of the book. They're a big
Yeah.
bulk of it. So, you can do a lot of work there. Before we move on to like, once you're kind of done that work for yourself and define those things, my card was I am forgiving. I just pulled that before we started. I carry no resentment through life, only love. So, if listening to the information from those two chapters kind of triggers like, oh man, I'm just falling short. I suck. Forgive yourself. One day teaches what? One day teaches the other. Yeah, that's great. We learn each day. So I was listening to a podcast called The Life School, highly recommend it. And she was just talking about how she doesn't want to go work out. And so she gets all these negative excuses and thoughts in her head. And that just triggers this bad feeling. And so the way to get about that is just get into action. Like, do the thing you want to do or should do. You should do, but you don't want to do, which is my case every time I work out. And you get into action, and that's kind of like if you didn't see the recording from Amwala that I shared in the group, that was his thing too. And that's where you build the character. And then, doing those things, like should is hard, like that. We don't want to should on ourselves, but we've set these goals. We want to see this outcome. So that requires us to take this action. So just take it, regardless of what your mind is saying, because those are, and I'm going to talk about this, those are the old negative thoughts in your head, the grooves, the ruts. Okay, let me share my screen, and I promise to go through these quickly. Promise. Because the big chunk of it, of course, obviously is these two, right? But as we get those, we start repeating that action, we get the momentum, and Darren calls it Big Mo. So did I skip? I guess not. Okay. Chapter 4, Big Mo. How do you get Big Mo to pay you a visit? So you're making new choices based on your goals and your core values. So definitely get those sheets out and do the work there. Some of it might be repetitive. You're like, okay, I keep talking about this, and that might be a clue for you, or something else might come out of that. Putting those choices to work through new positive behaviors. So that, again, like Deb said, it's the action we take. Our behaviors define, like, you may say that you want to do this, but what are you really doing? So if you look at what you say versus how you're behaving, that really defines, kind of where you need to make some changes. Repeating those healthy actions long enough to establish new habits. So we have to get to that wall sometimes where we hit a wall, we're not making the progress we want quick enough, or we feel like our efforts aren't producing any results. We have to continue to push through that wall, because a lot of people get to that wall and give up. Building the routines and the rhythms in your daily disciplines. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And then staying consistent over a long enough period of time, and bam, you've got momentum. If you can stick with these things for a long enough time, then you're going to see some momentum. And so that's where there was the analogy, must be on the next one. Or I'm missing a slide. Anyway, think about like a merry-go-round, when you're pushing that merry-go-round, when you're on the playground, and when you first do it, like, it's really hard to get that thing turning. You have to push hard, and you're just going really slow, but you have to keep going, and then you're running along with it. It's getting faster and faster and faster, and eventually you're either going to fall off to the side or you're going to jump on, and then you get to ride that momentum for a little while. Then to keep that momentum going, you just got to kind of like give it another couple of pushes, and it's a lot easier. And that's what happens if we can stick with it during that first initial push, to the point where we have these things down into more of a routine. Then then that's when it becomes that healthy habit. Okay, so that requires routine power, and bookend your days. So we've talked about this a lot before in our 12-week year, in the one thing, in Atomic Habits, a lot of books that we've read, the routine power. So when you define what your goals are and the habits that you need to create, you're defining what actions you need to take, then create a routine around those things. Like Deb was talking about the habit stacking, as far as having one thing trigger another thing. And if you can write this out, and so, like, especially my morning is this is my morning routine, and just do that without making excuses about it. Just do it. That's where you start creating that momentum. And then bookending the day is you're going to do the rise and shine. So you have your morning routine. And then you also, at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, and have sweet dreams, you're going to have another routine that you do. And if you make sure that you're building in, so the rise and shine isn't just our meditation and our, exercise even, it's what else do you need to do first thing in the day to work to help you get closer to your goal, whether it's, a financial goal, or your relationship goal, a spiritual goal. Work that into the beginning of your day, because the day can take over. But if you have those things done early, then your things can happen, and you can just kind of ride that wave of the day, and knowing you've got your most critical things done early. And then you regroup again at the end of the day and see, what you need to carry over, and it's kind of like this assessment of, what did I do well? What could I have done better? And that's where, one day teaches the next, like Sheila's thing. We learn each day. I did this. I have to tell you, this is like this sheet. I don't know if you can see me, but I did it. And then I'm writing in things, because like, I'm not sticking to this schedule. It's like, because things take longer than I anticipated. So I'm kind of like writing in there really what I did and what I didn't get done, so that I can start learning, how to create this day where I will be able to get things done without stressing myself out. So, um, so then you're finding your new groove. And, where disciplines and actions develop a rhythm, you're actually putting the doormat out and welcoming Big Mo. It's like, again, with the merry-go-round or with a train, that train is a major, like if this train were moving, stopping it is almost impossible, without that slow progression of slowing down and putting on the brakes. But in the beginning, you could put one little block in front of the first wheel, and that train is not going to move because it is so heavy, right? It's so bulky. And, if you can put that analogy with, I want to do this thing and it just feels so hard, like I'm just never going to get going on this. And it really just takes that, building up a little steam, keeping this going. And before you know it, you're going to be like this train just cruising along on the rails and unstoppable. So, but you have to find your new groove. There's this sheet, weekly rhythm register you saw in the downloads. And this is a great thing if you want to define a couple of things you want to do, new things you want to do. And this is something I'm going to help me with, helping me create my, the day that actually can work for me, is define a couple of actions that I know I want to do. And then you check them off. Like, did I do it Monday? Did I do it Tuesday? Or how many ever days a week you want to do it. And you kind of look at this rhythm you're creating. So it really just kind of helps you create some daily disciplines, and seeing that, what you can do and what you can't do. So then it's really the power of consistency. The one discipline that gives an advantage over others is the ability to be consistent. We know this. And if you're not consistent, that is the biggest killer of momentum. So part of this is, I love the analogy of the pump the well. So when you're, like we got the merry-go-round, we got the train, we got the pump the well. So when you're pumping the well, you're going like that, you're pump a water well. And you're just like putting in a lot of effort, and the water starts coming up, but it's just a trickle. You have to keep pumping that well in order to see that flow happen even greater. I love this analogy. I say it to Deb all the time. It's like, pump the well. We got to keep pumping the well, right? Because sometimes we don't want to, and we're human. So chapter 5 is influence. So the 3 key things here is input. So input to your mind. This is why we do so much personal development. Garbage in, garbage out. So we don't want garbage, right? He has this analogy of the dirty water. If you're putting garbage into your mind, into, your perspective in life, that's the filter through which you see the world. So, if you're watching the news too much, if you have negative associations around you, if you're allowing past experiences to keep replaying in your head, the water in your mind is going to be dirty. And again, that's the filter with which you're looking through the world. It's going to be negative. It's going to be a little hopeless. It's going to be, insecure. So we really need to start flushing that out, which is what we do with our constant personal development, with our meditations, with our affirmations, with, showing up into the group, with the posts that we put out for you guys to kind of like, just to get thinking differently. So we want to clear that dirty water and really, so that we can see clearly our way forward. And that includes your associations. Who's influencing you? If you're hanging around negative people, you're going to be negative. So, some people you can't cut out of your life, but you can define them like he talks about. There's my 3-minute friend, or my 3-hour friend, or, friends that I could go on a vacation with. Like, there's certain people, who I can only be around for 3 minutes before I'm just like, you know, and so you could just kind of like look at that as like, okay, so then I'm going to limit the amount of time I'm spending with that 3-minute friend, or, you know, if it's the neighbor or whatever. And then your environment too, changing your view changes your perspective. I love this. So your environment, if you got clutter in the house, this is big with me. Like if there's things out of place, that's all I see. And then, you know, your environment could be that you have the news feed always popping up into your phone, or you know, watching Netflix and you know, negative shows. So just be aware of that. So you want this is the plus and the minus, right? There are some things you gotta take out of your life so that you can add in those more positive behaviors and actions. And then, oh, don't go back. 6 is acceleration, which this is where we want to be. And when you got Mo working for you, you get your momentum. You know, sometimes it'll be hard to keep that momentum going. And I get this, you know, you kind of get tired, or you kind of get in a routine that feels more like a rut. So just reassess. But I love this is Lance Armstrong. There's a point in every race when a rider encounters his real opponent and understands that it's himself. So those moments of truth when, you know, you're struggling with taking action, or defining things, or I don't know what it would be, but in your life, you're going to come up against those. And that moment of truth is, are you going to keep pushing? Are you going to do the hard things? Another great podcast I listened to with the Life School yesterday was Do Hard Things. It's a short, 10-minute one, and that's it. You know, life is, when we're trying to improve, we're going to be doing hard things. If we always choose easy, we don't benefit from that. We don't grow from that. Her one thing was easy, or he did a client who wanted to make weight loss easier. She goes, look, if you make weight loss easier, you're not going to learn like how to, you know, when you're making that hard choice of food, like how to cope. Like if it's hard, I'm trying to lose weight and I don't want to, there's this food I want to eat, and I'm eating it because I'm using it as a coping mechanism. If it were easy, I would be going through that and understanding, you know, how that is affecting me. So I hope that made sense, but you have to listen to that podcast. So, and then when you get into this groove, into this rhythm, into your routine, you're going to start multiplying your results. And just know that when conditions are great, things are easy. There aren't any distractions. No one's interrupting you. Temptations aren't luring, and nothing is disturbing your stride. This too is when everyone else does great. But for you, it's like, it's not until the situations are difficult, when problems come up and temptations are great, that you get to prove your worthiness for progress. Like Jim Rohn says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. So that's when you hit the wall of your disciplines, of your routines, your rhythm, and your consistency. You're separating yourself from your old self. You're scaling that wall, and you're finding new, powerful, triumphant, and victorious self. And this, Deb touched on this, to do the unexpected, or do better than expected, beating the expectations. And it's really just about showing up and knowing what your best is, and doing that. Like just, again, your personal accountability, your personal responsibility, and only you can define that. That's another message I heard yesterday. You know, it's like accountability is right here. And when I owned that, my view did change, because I really wanted somebody else to do the hard things for me. I was just sharing about this in my meeting the other day. You know, I just wanted God to figure it out. And I wanted my sponsor to know what I needed to do, and they could work together and just let me know and I'll be here, you know, like, but I have to be the one that takes that responsibility and that you know, that accountability for myself. So, so the last thing is, if you don't have the Audible, you can, and you'll see it in some of that resources. If you go in and get those, you'll be able to get like the free Audible. And what I love about it is he has the chapters. You can go to the chapters and they're broken down, right? So I look through here and I'm like, oh, core motivation. It's 4 minutes and 13 seconds. I will click on that and it takes me right to that message, right? So if I only had,
the access point to your why power is through your core values, which define both who you are and what you stand
stop talking. So, you know, I might just like, I'm in this bad headspace. I need just a quick something, and you're going to get just a short little clip of something that talks to you. Like the one I know I want to go back to was, I was listening to it on the road, was be patient. Like I have a hard time being patient, right? So just a little tip for you, like if you have the audio book, it's broken into chapters, into sections. So use that. And then if you're going to, so that's it with the compound effect, but we are going to dive into this book next month. It is a meaty book, but it's really, again, one of those like learning to eat the rainbow, you know, how fermentation helps us, the prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics. It just really kind of is going to give us some knowledge about what we eat and how it benefits us with the brain and the gut connection. Super deep, but I mean, I think it's something we all need or are interested in, I believe, how that works for us. We'll touch base a little bit too on one of our coffee chats on those hormones that I was talking about. Like just a last thing, and I'll shut up. Like the fear pathway and your motivation pathway are the same. It's the same pathway, right? And how to recognize that and how to utilize that. So that's just like one of the things that I learned with the hormone piece. And, you know, and our hormones and our guts are like work together. So one thing stacking on another. All right. That's enough out of me. Any questions, any comments?
A lot of great information. Thank you, both of you.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got value out of that.
Yeah,
Sheila.
absolutely.
You guys did a great job summarizing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much all of it in a nutshell. So good job on that. I wanted to say one thing that really stood out to me was a quote that from Montel Williams, something on Montel Williams was that he gets to add stuff rather than taking it away. And it reminded me, I think when it was in chapter 2, I think when Deb was talking, was instead of taking stuff away, you get to add stuff, because he's on a really strict diet for his health condition. I think he has MS too. And so he gets to eat these other things. And that was really key for me to change that glass half full.
Yeah. And that's all just telling your mind, we get to do this instead of focusing on I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't do this. You know, you tell your mind, and your mind is going to help you like generate those feelings. Activation, thought activation. That's another thing on the podcast. If you listen to it, Do the Hard Things. I'll put it in the group, the link. But you know, we have these feeling or thoughts, and like I want to like we're a goal we have, and I really want to achieve this, but if you don't actually activate the feeling of that, it's just a thought. You're not going to solidify it in your being. So it's just like another passing thought, one of the 80,000 or whatever we have a day. So cool. Anything to add, Karen?
No, I'm good. It's good information, and yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm a work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a photo or boomerang. And okay, everybody. Awesome. Cool. Yep, we're all work in progresses. So one day teaches the next.
Yeah.
One thing teaches the next. So yeah. All right, ladies, thank you for getting on. This was a longer call. I appreciate you spending your time with us this morning.
Yeah.
Love your hair, Sheila.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye.